All right, everybody, welcome to the Empowered Eczema podcast. Today I have the lovely Jesi Slayer. She is actually a client of mine and has gone through a journey with her eczema. And today I wanted to get on here and share with you her journey of getting off of medications with eczema and following the natural route. So, welcome, Jesi, to the podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Course. So we're going to jump right in. We're going to start with your beginning. Let's start with your journey. So, can you share your eczema journey and what medications you used along the way?
So I'm 28 now. I've had it since I was born. I was covered in rashes, and then as a child, it wasn't as bad, but you could tell like in the nooks of my arms and my knees. And then as I grew up into a teenager, it started to get really severe, and that's when I started doing topical steroids. And then as an early adult, I did Dupixent. I've done UV therapy. I've done all of that. I've done methotrexate, Rinvoq, Sabinco, everything.
So, that's a lot, especially for the listeners listening in. It's very interesting to hear all the different things that you've tried because there's people who have been on steroids or people contemplating Dupixent. A lot of times the dermatologists are now pushing the immunosuppressant drugs like Rinvoq. So what was your experience using steroids? Was there a period of time where they stopped working for you? What led you to transition from steroids to, I think Dupixent was the next one that you went with?
Yep. So before Dupixent, I was just on like topical steroids. And that was kind of the same thing with like all the other medications where it would work for a tiny amount of time and then it would just stop. With topicals, I saw a lot of hyperpigmentation afterwards. Dupixent, it worked really well until I started getting severe eye infections where to the point I would wake up and I couldn't even open my eyes because they were crusted over. And I was getting blurry vision, so I couldn't even drive. Like, I remember at that point in my life, I had to ask my roommate to drive me to the eye doctor. It was just really bad. And then with the oral stuff, it's not necessarily, I don't know if like those are immunosuppressants. I don't know if that's the same as steroids, but either way, it would work for a few months and then it would stop working. And I would also get like side effects of like high cholesterol or stuff like that.
That's a long journey to go on and try to figure out all of that. So, how long did you use Dupixent for? And what was the process like coming off of Dupixent? Was it a cold turkey thing? Was it you weaned off of it with your dermatologist?
So with Dupixent, it wasn't, I'm pretty sure it was only a few months, maybe 6 months max that I was on it. And I had to get off of it like cold turkey just because of my eyes, like my vision. And to me, it wasn't worth my vision just to have like itchy rashes all over me.
Did your eczema fully go away at that time? Or I know a lot of people speak about Dupixent, but still having facial eczema.
So with Dupixent, all my itchiness went away, but you could tell that like I still had some type of skin disorder, but I felt fine. Like didn't feel itchy. I wasn't flaky or red or anything like that, but it just wasn't worth it.
So, from Dupixent, what was that next drug that you tried?
After Dupixent, I believe I did UV therapy first, and that was literally only for like maybe 3 times, and I was like, "This is ridiculous. I don't see any improvement." And it was just like inconvenient for me because I would have to drive to the dermatology and then I would have to stand in a box for 30 seconds and then I would leave. It just wasn't something that I wanted to do. Then after that, that's when I started going on the oral stuff. So that's when I started doing the Trexate, Sabinco, all that stuff.
And what led the dermatologist to have you move from methotrexate to the next one to the next one?
So actually, methotrexate was the longest oral I've ever taken. I think I was on it for almost 2 years. And for that duration, they kept increasing my dose. And then my dermatologist actually, I think he switched. And then they gave me the next dermatologist that was at that hospital. And she was like, the dose you're taking is equivalent to chemo. And so I was like, great, this is awesome. And so she was like, I'm going to switch you to Sabinco. And Sabinco literally didn't do anything. It was actually more of a hassle getting it just through insurance. And then after Sabinco, that's when we switched to Rinvoq, and then I was on Rinvoq for about a year.
So, what were the key factors or moments that influenced your decision to withdraw from conventional eczema medications? And did you have any doubts? And how did you face those doubts for you coming off of them?
The whole reason I wanted to get off any type of medication was just nothing worked for me, and I felt like it was doing more damage to my body than anything, and I just felt hopeless because I would always go to a dermatologist or a doctor, someone who I thought I could trust, and then they would prescribe me something, and then I would get excited about it, and then I would just get let down because it doesn't work. And so the whole reason was I wanted to be more natural. I felt like seeing people on social media where they tackled their condition naturally, I felt like I could do the same thing. And I'm at that age where also like I want to have kids and I know I can't be on any medication when I have kids. So that was a huge decision for me.
That must have been hard and a
Yeah.
difficult decision for you to make to move forward. So, it probably had challenges and breakthroughs. Can you share any significant obstacles or successes that you've had with going the natural route for healing eczema?
Oh, for sure. There's definitely wins and definitely challenges. The challenges for me was just getting out of the mental state of like the negativity and just thinking that there was no light at the end of the tunnel. Also, a lot of people like to see changes real quick, and I feel like with this condition, it's definitely gonna take a lot of time. So that was the biggest challenge for me. I'm very social, so being out and about and I have a physical condition also made it really hard for me just to, like, be motivated to do stuff. But the wins, I feel like I feel better. I feel like my mindset has did a complete 180. I feel like I can tackle anything now. I feel like I've also never talked about my condition to anybody, so being able to talk about it freely to even strangers, I feel like has given me a lot of strength to just be, like, happy and open to where I am in my life, especially with my condition, just because I know this is temporary and it's gonna be such a reward once I'm, like, done with it.
So, for those listening, Jesse went through my program and is in a healing state now. And I know for a lot of people, you might not be at that place. And I think it just can give you a lot of hope. During the program I had with Jessie, she was coming off of Rinvoq, and so we worked together to try to figure out what the withdrawal might look like from Rinvoq. And thankfully, through the process of healing naturally, I think you're in the clear now as far as any sort of withdrawals that may have occurred. I think it'd be very interesting for people listening to hear what you did to heal naturally and how you kind of got to the place that you're at now. Obviously, I know because it's the method that I coached you through, but I'm sure people listening are curious, what did you do to heal naturally?
Yeah, so it's definitely been a journey, but, Michelle has given me a lot of the tools and knowledge that I really need. But really from day 1 getting off Rinvoq, I feel like there was definitely 3 weeks where I just felt, like, completely trash. I just wasn't myself, and I physically could tell, but those 3 weeks, honestly, looking back at it now, I'm so glad I went through it, just because you need to learn a lot about your body, especially when you heal naturally, and, but just, having a positive mindset, being open to talking about it, addressing your traumas that you've had to get over the mindset negativity. And then the food portion, I feel like I've just been eating all natural. I've been eating whole foods and I eat a lot of vegetables now and way more like cleaner meats and just like taking time for myself. There's days where I'm like, I need to stop doing what I'm doing. I'll take off work if I have to. And I know not everyone has that like accessibility to their work to just be able to take off, but I'm really glad I do. And just having like a big support system. Like all my friends are supportive. Michelle, you're supportive. My family, my boyfriend, like he's also been a huge help with this whole journey just because like I live with him. Like he's seen me at my worst. He's chopped vegetables for me, cooked me meat, cooked or washed the dishes because I can't get my hands wet. But honestly, like Yeah, those 3 weeks definitely sucked, but I see how fast my body has changed, and I wouldn't change it.
And I know you kind of gave a little bit of advice in what you just said, but let's wrap up with, is there any advice that you could give other people who are contemplating going on this journey, who might be scared to come off of their medications and start this natural process?
Yeah, I was in that same position where I'm like, I don't wanna get off medication, but my end goal was bigger than the the present day where it's just like, I'm gonna get off the medication, and it does seem scary at first, but I would say just listen to your body, like, if you wanna get off medication, maybe talk to your doctor or a professional about how to wean off of it, and then just tackle it with the most positive mindset you can have, because it's, like, a huge thing. Like, if I didn't have a positive mindset, I would still be flaring, I would still be probably eating like crap, probably still on medication, and yeah, I would say if you wanna get off medication, go for it because it's worth it.
Thank you so much, Jesse. Is there any last thing you want to say to those listening?
I guess you got this. I feel like this whole journey for everyone, it's so different, but it is very challenging, and I feel like just staying consistent, like, you'll achieve your goals.
Absolutely. I've worked with so many people who are coming off of medication, whether it's topical steroid withdrawal, whether it's things like Rinvoq or Dupixent. And I felt so compelled to make this podcast just to share with those listening that one, it is possible to heal naturally, and two, there's a lot of implications to taking medications, and the withdrawals are often worse than the eczema itself. So, thank you so much for being on the podcast, Jesse.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
You too.